So unaktomb looks like this. This is the room structure. So there is entrance, right? And then you have main chamber, and then you have west chamber, and then east chamber, and each of them have more scenes. And going into a little bit, the most important room where you see the tomb owner's portraiture is in the west chamber. And then in this case, if you go in the same west chamber, like here on the west side, you had the owner, like a husband, and then the other side, there is wife. So I have this diagram, but I don't have that panoramic 360 views of the tomb. So that's why sometimes watching the video is more helpful. So if I summarize in unaktomb, in the only one of the oldest types of Goguryeo wall painting, you are going to see scenes of everyday life, or people call it, it's a image of genre painting. And then you are going to see the portraiture of the tomb owners. So in a way, it's a commemoration of the deceased couple, and you are going to see the reconstruction of their life while they are alive in the afterlife. So they need a lot of attendants or servants, and on top of this doorkeepers, you are going to see like a scripts. So based on these, we know who the tomb is, and we also know the exact date of it. So he was a local governor, so that he has many people standing in line, so they represent a glorious moment of their lives. So he had these soldiers with X. You can see this is an X. And then you have wrestlers on the top. And then he is, so if you go into the west chamber, the man is seated. And can you describe this type of composition? What is most obvious to you? If you ever taken any art history class, this is called portraiture. Yeah, who wants to talk?
One is obviously.
Excellent. Yes. So that's what I was getting. If you take Egyptian art or any other ancient civilization, this is a common device. The most important person is the largest, and then other attendees are smaller in scale, and this is called hieratic scale. Meaning, this is what, who was it? Who was just
JP.
JP. Yeah, it's called the hieratic scale. You've seen this in other ancient civilizations. And then, what is the type of this portraiture depiction? Somebody who's looking at us versus this type of view. Do you have any ideas? How do you call this stance? In portraiture or in photography?
Frontal.
View. And what about this? Slightly to the side. You don't see the symmetrical frontal face, or slightly to the side. What's the name of this one?
Professor, is it three-quarter view?
Yes,
is it three-quarter view?
Yes, three-quarter view. Like you've seen this in many Renaissance paintings. So the man represented in frontal view, the local governor, he looks like a figure of authority, or sort of a religious painting, right? Like people in the middle, and then attendees are all facing toward him, and then they are depicted as three-quarter views. And then if you go here, the wife too, because wife is here, and then she is looking at the husbands, right? So that's why she is depicted as three-quarter views with many attendees. I am not going into detail of these dresses, But in my history of East Asian costume, we talk a lot about dresses worn by the main owner versus attendees. But in ancient times, the headgears were important to denote their social status. Elaborate hair, so they are sort of courtiers, and they also seated under the canopies. Seated under the canopies, and some people note that these are lotus flowers, but in terms of relation to Buddhism, I am going to talk more later when we talk about introduction of Buddhism. And here you also have a guardian inside the same chamber. And then this is the most interesting. I want you to pay attention to this East Chamber wall painting. What do you see here on the wall? Let me look carefully. What do you see? Can anybody volunteer?
Like pigs or like animals hanging from a
Right.
hook.
Yes, from the hook. It's like a butchery, right? This is like a butcher's, storage. And then who else? Yes?
There are some carts to transport
Carriages, right? Yeah, the carriages. And you need an animal, right? Like you need animals for these carriages to be pulled. But looks nice. Which one is husbands and which one is wives? Can you tell?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Which one is husband's carriage and which one is wife's carriage?
I think the one on the right is the wife's one.
Right, this is for women, right? And this is for the men. How do you know that?
Well, I've seen before carriages from East Asian culture. Usually it's like covered.
Yeah, for women, it's covered chamber, right? So she is seated inside the little carriage. But then the man, the local governor, he sits on the open chair with a canopy so that people can see him and greet him. And he also returns these greetings. And then what about this little pavilion on the far left when we see this picture?
It's a kitchen.
Kitchen, yes. Somebody is burning the fire, and big pot is boiling with a soup, and then these are kitchen maids. And do you also recognize some dogs? Nobody sees the dogs?
Oh yeah, I see it in front of the kitchen by the.
Sorry, I see at least like 3 of them, like here. So they are running around like food stores, right? So this is the idea of this life should be continued in the afterlife. These owner couple should be provided with meals and other comfort. And in order to live, most important elements is food. So they put the kitchen and then the killed animals and then their large carriages. And if you go in the same room, what do you see here? It's a little faint, but can you see them?
Is it horse?
Yeah, these are horses, right? I see 3 horses, 1, 2, 3 horses. And then
Is it a horse stable?
Horse stables, yes. Horse stables. They keep the horses. It's a precious animals, and it again tells us that high social status. And for them to be kept safely, you have a little gates, and then these are their food store, right? You see the little stand so that they can eat food. And then on this area, like a tiny this area. It's a little blurry, but do you see 2 women, like one woman and the other woman, and they are standing in the middle of the house, but this is meal. So they are going to make flour out of grains. If you go this area, who are they? What are these?
Are they cows?
Yeah, cows, like oxen. So oxen are precious again for agricultural activities, and also sometimes ox can carry those carriages, go slow but very sturdy. So they have everything. You saw horses, you saw the mill and kitchen. So west chamber owner couple, and the east chamber you have that kitchen step. And then in the same wall, like here, you are going to see the well, like all the way on the top. You have a big, can I say, a big stick, and then it has heavy like a sandbox, and then the woman working at the well, she is going to use this weight and then put the water bucket all the way inside, and then get the water from the underground source, get the water out and fill the jar, and then there is another woman working, so you can see the water resource. And then if you go to this, front chamber, this is sort of like a living room or their reception hall. If they lived in a real house, right? Then you are going to see an elaborate procession. And here, do you see the carriage? Where do you
Yeah.
see the kimono, right? Yes, I'm glad that you discovered. So, the same carriage we've seen in that east chamber. Is represented here, pulled by the horse, and then he has this cavalry, like a fully dressed armed knights, and then the horses are also well protected, and then they are walking, and then this is also important group. So it shows his power, right? Political power. So this is Anaktomb.